In this lesson, I'll show you how to create a texture brush. Creating a texture brush will allow you to sketch in textures and patterns based on an onboard shape or a graphic shape that you create yourself. To begin, let's take our cursor and move to the interface lagoon and select on our brush tools icon. To create a brush, what you need to do is click on the Show Custom Brush window and click on the new Do-It-Yourself brush icon. To start, you will have to base your brush on a particular tool. In this case, we're going to base it on an airbrush. Hit the button Create, and you see a new icon in your Do-It-Yourself brush menu. Go ahead and double-click on that, and you see a very large brush properties menu that will appear on your screen. What we'll first do is adjust the opacity so we can see the brush in our preview window. You can adjust both heavy and the light opacity pressure control. Keep your eye on both the preview window and the preview window down below, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating our shape based on this onboard shape that we're provided with. So by adjusting the slant, you can start to see there might be some changes, but you can also adjust the amount of roundness so you can actually make it more of an oval shape. Now you can also adjust the spacing, and you see how in the upper preview window how that stamp spacing is affecting that pattern. Now what we're also going to do is go down to the brush edges. Now what you see on screen right now is the soft edge. Well, let's go ahead and go down to the hard edge. You see how it drastically changes? I kind of like that shape. Let's go ahead and work with that a little bit. Let's go ahead and add a little spacing. Let's flatten it a little bit more so we have more of a texture. Let's go ahead and select the color. I'm going to go ahead and select the color red. And before I go too far, what I'd like to do is to open a new layer. A good idea is to always open your layer editor and assign a layer for your textures. Let's go ahead and click that out. Let's clear the image. We'll call it layer 2, and we'll name that textures. If you like, go ahead and lock down your original layer so you don't lose your original drawing, and let's return back to the texture layer. Go ahead and move our brush tools over here to the side. Let's also go ahead and click on our resize brush tool. That might be a handy thing to keep as we're sketching. We'll move our brush properties here so we can keep an eye on what's happening. Take a look at my guide, and you'll see the contour of the seat changes as it's going along the seat back. Now to adjust that, what you want to do is adjust the amount of slant. So you see how I'm moving it to the left and how it gets a little steeper, and when I move it to the right, it lines up. So before you start, always try a little bit of the pattern to see if that's what you like. Now I think I can use something a little darker, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the opacity control and add a little more density to that. Okay, maybe a little bit less. Maybe with a little more spacing. Also, you can resize it to fit. You see how that works? As the angle of the contour changes, I can also go to the slant and change the angles to make it a little steeper to match that surface. I can resize it. You see how it resizes? And I'm going to go ahead and adjust that slant so it's more vertical. All right, so that's creating a texture brush using an onboard shape. Now let's go ahead and create a custom shape. So let's go ahead and move our toolbox, and we'll go ahead and click on Do-It-Yourself brush one more time. Again, let's go ahead and reassign it, an airbrush tool. Let's go ahead and create one. One of the things to keep in mind is always make sure that the one that you're working on is highlighted. What we're going to do is we're going to create our own brush. So to begin, let's go ahead and go to our pencil. Let's go to the color green. We can pull a darker green. What we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and just draw like little blades of grass. When you create grass, make sure it looks more random so it doesn't look so uniform when you create your pattern. Bear down to give yourself some thick and thins. And when you have a shape that you like, well, you can always go back and erase out what you don't want. So to capture that, what you're going to do is you're going to hit your capture button, and you're going to capture by shape. So as you move your cursor over, you see how when you're hovering, you've got this nice little target that allows you to capture that. Now, if you look at that, I need to increase the size of that target. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up by using my brush resize tool. I'm going to maybe decrease it a little bit so I have a little more randomness. And as soon as you have everything aligned, just go ahead and select it by pressing down. Now you have created your custom brush. Now, obviously, you're going to have to add a little more opacity to it. So what we're going to do is go ahead and move the opacity control up so you can see a little bit more. And you adjust the spacing. Okay, you see how when I adjusted the spacing when it was so compressed, now it opens up. and you can adjust the amount of roundness or compression. Let's go ahead and try that out. Yeah, I like that. But you know what? I like it much taller, so I'm going to go ahead and use the brush resize tool and create my grass. Now, if it's getting a little light for you, you can always use your opacity tool and add a little more green to it. Again, I've kept it on a separate layer, so in the future, if I want to change a different type of pattern that I'd like the bunnies to be in, I can still preserve my original drawing. As you can see, you can create custom brushes in two ways. Creating it using Sketchbook Pro's onboard shapes, or you can create your own brush by sketching out a shape that you like and capturing it in Sketchbook Pro.